Luka Barbuka, he's hitting enemies with a left-right Itadori goodnight, and he's absolutely destroying the enemies, destroying their shield, and he might just be destroying your resources after today's video, and you learn why you as a free-to-play player need to build them. More information on that at the end of the video. Let's first go ahead and talk about what he actually does. What are his abilities? What are his skills? What makes him so efficient on the battlefield? That was really cringe. I didn't mean to. I don't know why I said. Why did I do that? I know what it was. I didn't put on my hat for the video. You can't see my face anymore, but look how cool my hat is, guys. I sealed Bailu in my hat. We're gonna be taking all the curse away now, okay? Yeah, I look super cool now, don't I? I dropped it on the ground. Anyways, gamers, let's go ahead and hop into the kit breakdown. First, we're going to briefly go over what he does. First things first, his skill. His skill is going to be making the enemy bleed. But this bleed is really nice because you're taking a certain percentage of the max HP of the enemy that you're facing, and then you're getting an amount from that that is equal or proportionate to Luka's current attack. So, if an enemy has an absolutely massive HP field, adventurine, he's going to be doing some pretty massive bleed damage if you have a lot of attack, which is how I don't like to build him. We're going to get into the build in a second here, but that's basically what the skill is going to be doing. Let's now go ahead and talk about the ultimate move. The ultimate move will be targeting one enemy. It'll also be placing one debuff on the enemy that makes them take more damage from all of your other units that are attacking that one. It'll also be giving you 2 stacks of fighting will. This is going to be super important when we talk about the enhanced basic attack and the talent, because the normal basic attack is complete dog water. Basically what the talent does is give you your stacks of fighting will. This enhances your basic attack, and on top of this allows you to reproc a bleed upon the enemy from using your basic attack as well. The enhanced basic attack also does a lot because whenever you get an enhanced basic attack, he goes pop pop and then pop 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 like that, right? So very bad visualization. You'll see it somewhere on the screen. Maybe I'll put a little video up right here of him basically doing an enhanced basic attack, but this is good because he can reproc bleed even better at E6. So before we hop into that, let's go ahead and talk about his bonus abilities first, how you should be leveling them up. These are his 3 bonus abilities right here, one of which is going to be actually dispelling a buff from an enemy target, which makes him kind of like Payla's skill right here. So very, very good on that front. Another one gives him energy, and another one allows him to get extra hits from his enhanced basic attack, which are all really fine, fun, and dandy. But with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about his light cones. What are his best in slot light cones? Now, me personally, I like running solitary healing on him a lot. Why do I like solitary healing? Because it revolves around dot characters. What does he do? Dot, because bleed is a dot. And this is going to be increasing his break effect, which I said I like break Luka a lot, and that's what I recommend building. It's also going to be increasing his dot damage by 48% when using your ultimate move. That means if you break with the ultimate or just use the ultimate on the enemy, you're increasing the dot damage that you're doing. So it's always good to use the ultimate before you actually break, or with the break, so you get the increased dot damage from that. And then finally, you're getting extra energy if you kill an enemy. That means if you kill one of the main bosses with this, or a side enemy with this for some reason, you'll be getting extra energy back to get his ult up, supercharge his ult basically, right? Now this is my personal favorite form. You could also run other things like Fermata as well, right? If you're running them on a dot team, then Fermata could probably be slotted in here pretty well. These are both free to play options. Now if you're not going to run him break build, Goodnight Sleep Well can work. Goodnight Sleep Well is like a secret 5-star light cone, okay? It's a super good light cone. You could always run that. And then finally, you could run the Sampo light cone. It gives you extra effect hit rate, and it gives you extra dot damage, meaning whatever bleed you put on the enemy, it being the strongest dot in the game, you're going to be increasing the amount of bleed that you're doing on the enemy. These are my recommendations here. My favorite option, though, is solitary healing. I think it offers the most benefit. It gives you the most base stats. It also gives you the most break effect as well, increased dot damage, and is going to give you energy back when you defeat an enemy, which I just think is all really good for him because its ultimate cost is 130, so it can be kind of weird to get back. Hey gamers, quick little editor note here. I didn't mention that Pearls of Sweat also works on him. It definitely does work on him. It gives him an extra debuff with his basic attack. So if you're not running a full break build, even if you are running a full break build, this can work. You just need more break in your substats to actually make him an efficient breaker still. But like I said, still viable if you're, especially if you're running him on an Acheron team, right? Anyways, guys, back to the rest of the video wherever I was at. So let's go ahead and talk about the moment you've been waiting for, relics. But wait! Stop right there. Before we hop into these relics, hit that subscribe button if you're liking what you see so far, okay? Subscribe right now, please. We have to push subscriber up because bigger number equals better person. So if you went ahead and click that subscribe button, let's go ahead and talk about these stinky little relics now. Because the relics I run on them is a full break build. I'm talking I run full break effect set. From the planar set to the 4-piece set. I'm talking banditry and meteor, baby. And the reason why I ran this and the reason I have this is just from farming weekly bosses, honestly. Like, I've been playing the game since day one. Every time you go into a weekly boss, it has a chance to either drop musket or this break effect set here. So I've just taken the best pieces I've gotten from that and just kind of thrown it on him, right? And I think this is a really efficient and free-to-play way to actually build him. If you haven't thrown those pieces away, have maybe kept the good pieces, right? You should be keeping all good pieces because, like I said, sets don't make everything, but with a break build, the set makes everything. You want to literally give him as much break effect as humanly possible. And I'll go ahead and show you my stats right now on my Luka. My HP is super low. My attack is super low, but you know it's not low. His break effect is at 216%, and obviously we're not getting the buff from the banditry. I need more speed within the kit. We'll talk about the subs and mains in a second here, but yeah, you get the point. You want to build as much break effect as humanly possible. Now, if you didn't have this, you didn't save the pieces, or you're new to the game, I really don't think this set is the best set to farm. You get the physical set here too, so I mean, like, either way you go, right? If you're building Luka, like, if you get either set, it's pretty good for him, right? Now, if you have a follow-up character, probably farming for the dot set is a little bit better than actually farming for this, right? Because you might be having a doctor ratio, you might be wanting at least 2-piece follow-up in your doctor ratio, so the dot set, you'll be getting that when farming for that. There's a lot of sets you can run on them, right? If you're not running them on a break build, physical set works. Dot set works. Even the debuff set kind of works because it gives him damage if an enemy's already debuffed. So you could technically run that as well. Also, running a 2-piece musketeer or 2-piece dot set also works because it gives attack, which increases dot. There are a lot of things you can run on. There's a lot of versatility. So if you're not necessarily farming for this break set, or you're not farming for the dot set, or you're not farming for the debuff set, there's something going to be there, right? Because you're probably going to be farming for at least one of those sets, right? Let's go ahead and talk about those planner sets now, because planner sets are the same, right? I think running Knighthood of the Banditry is the best. Obviously, you want 145 speed to reach the threshold to get 20% extra break effect. I don't have that, so I'm just running it just to get the 16% extra break effect. Very Pago there. You could run Pan Galactic, it's okay. You could run Space Sealing Station, that's okay. You could run Glambith even if he's fast. There are so many options you can run on him here. What's really gonna matter though, if you're building the certain sets, is the actual stats you're getting for him, right? Because the stats are gonna change depending on how you're actually building your Luka. Let's go ahead and talk about all the main stats. Now, starting off with the boots first. I run speed boots. You can maybe run him attack boots. I like him being a little bit fast, especially if you're running him break. You need 145 speed to reach the threshold. I'm still not reaching the threshold, and I have speed boots on, brother. So, speed boots here, that's my opinion there. For the body piece, just run attack. You don't want to run crit damage. You don't want to run crit rate. Everything for dot relies off of attack percentage. That's what gives you your main driving force. It also drives his whole kit, basically, because the bleed he does ultimately is going to be proportional to the amount of attack he actually has, because it scales off of enemy max HP and then goes down to, oh, well, how much attack do you have? That's how much bleed you're gonna do. So attack percent there is absolutely amazing. Now, you might think, oh, you're probably gonna say attack orb. Attack orb's actually not a bad option. I don't run attack orb. I run physical damage orb just to get a little bit more damage out, but either or can work actually. And then finally, for the chain, right? If you're running break effect set on Luka, a full break, you're gonna want a break effect chain for him. If you're not, run an attack percent chain here. That's honestly what I recommend here all around. Like I said, for me, I like running Luka full break. I think that is his best in slot. Now, it does require you to time things up and actually be efficient with them and be like, oh, well, if I hit this enemy here, then Luka will have just enough to actually break the enemy. And I do want to make an argument here that I would really love if Hoyoverse added in like an actual number for toughness to see, okay, well, I need to do this much more toughness damage on the enemy to break their shield, because that would help out so much with break comps. Anyways, rambling and rant out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the actual substats, because substats here are pretty self-explanatory as well, right? Speed is the #1 friend here, right? You're always gonna want speed on your characters. You want to be reaching at least a minimum of 134 speed on all of your characters, because you want them to go multiple times within a cycle. Now, outside of that, if you have the break set, you do want 145 speed. If you don't have that, then yikes, you're missing out on 20% break effect, but it is something for you to work towards, surely, right? Other things you can look at here: break effect if you're running break set, attack percent. These are really the only things you're looking for here. Also, effect hit rate if you're not running on break effect, because break effect is guaranteed bleed. But obviously some effect hit rate will also help with putting debuff from the ult on the enemy as well. So it's really going to be up to you at the end of the day how you're going to run that. There's a bunch of different things you can run here, right? Realistically, he's easy to build, because if you're building him very, very bare bones, you're looking for attack percentage, effect hit rate, and speed. You really don't need anything else. You could get break effect in there, doesn't really matter too much. I personally like running some extra HP defense stats so he's not dying all the damn time, but if you have a good enough sustain, this really won't be an issue at the end of the day. But now that we're done talking about all of his relics, main stats, substats, let's go ahead and talk about his eidolons, because eidolons are actually super important here. So E1s gives him a damage bonus whenever an enemy's bleeding, meaning you use a skill on him, he gets a 15% damage bonus for 2 turns. E2 is also pretty solid as well, because it will be giving you 1 extra stack of fighting will whenever you use a skill on an enemy that's weak to physical. And why would you be using him on an enemy that's not weak to physical? I don't know why you would. Anyways, those two are pretty decent, but where the biggest buff comes from is his E6. Because what E6 is going to do is allow you to re-proc the bleed dot on the enemy up to 8% of the original damage for each hit of direct punch. If you pair this up with the actual enhanced basic attack, you're hitting like 12 times on the enemy. That's 12 reprocs. And when I say this is massive damage, I'm talking you can get like 100,000, over 100,000 damage of reproc damage on the enemy if you've broken the shield with him. This is super good. And honestly, I wouldn't really recommend running him without him being E6, but knowing your luck, you probably pulled for an adventuring and got E6 of him on the way there. So hell yeah, brother. We're done talking about eidolons. Let's talk about where he's good at. He realistically is a good sub DPS against any physical enemy. He does really good. He can remove buffs from enemies, which is really nice. He inflicts bleed, so he inflicts debuffs. He can also be used as just a weakness breaker in general, because he does so much toughness damage with his ultimate move, with his skill, his enhanced basic attack. Like he's pretty SPF. He's good all around the board. Okay, he is good all around the board, and that's why I love Mr. Luka Babuka so much. But why should you, as a free-to-play player, be leveling him up? And I kind of just mentioned that. He is a great sub DPS for physical type enemies, right? He is great for fighting the adventuring boss right now. Now, you might say, oh, but you two. When adventuring does his little gamba move, he can't get past it, and that's true. He is gonna take that L every time, but you know what L he doesn't take? When he absolutely breaks the absolute shit out of an adventuring and gets, 300,000 damage over a couple turns. You get the break damage, then you get the enhanced basic attack, 300,000 damage at E6. Absolutely amazing. He destroys them. I'm gonna let you guys in here on a little insight, right? Look at this. This is my MOC, right? I beat it with Luka on the team. I was using Sparkle, Acheron, Pele, and Fushuan because my Acheron's absolute dog shit, but I actually couldn't beat this with Sparkle. Genuinely, I could not beat it with Sparkle. Now, I did lose a little bit of damage with Acheron here. To be fair, it's not that noticeable because she doesn't do much for me anyways, because my build's so crap with her, but he carried. He absolutely carried me. Other teams he's good on. He's good with Dr. Ratio because he can attack so much. He can put a bleed on an enemy. You can get Ratio to get the enemies down super low, really quick toughness, and then come in, clean it up. Bam! Break the enemy shield. Bleed damage. Ratio, they destroy. I love running him on a team with Dr. Ratio. And then finally, guys, a dot team. If you're facing an enemy with a physical weakness, run Luka. I guarantee you, you're going to hit new heights of damage if you're running him on a team with Kafka, okay? Even Black Swan. Ult with Black Swan with a good amount of Arcana stack, then use his enhanced basic attack. It's OV, brother. He is about to destroy the enemies, okay? He is just really good. And I think where Pride One puts him at A is a really good optimization, right? I think it's a really good choice here. Because I will say, he is pretty dog shit if the enemy is not weak to physical. Hey, the enemies are weak to physical, he is your man. The enemies are not weak to physical, he is not your man, okay? I think free-to-play players should probably prioritize building your goodnight over him just because of the fact she is better all around than he is, but he is more of a DPS, right? He does offer debuffs from just about everything in his kit, right? Or some type of debuff, right? Which is honestly just super good. He can remove buffs from enemy as well, which makes him kind of like a Pele as well. I feel like he's kind of like the reverse of goodnight. Goodnight can be used really in any scenario, though her damage is okay, it's iffy. But him, on the other hand, he does great damage against physical enemies, and then it's okay. He's not really good against anyone else. But yes, that's why you should be building him, guys. He is a great physical sub DPS. I honestly use him so much as a physical sub DPS, and I think you should too. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and drop a sub on the channel because I really need it. We've been in a dislike frenzy recently because of all my negative stuff I've been putting out about adventuring. So yeah, please drop a like on the video if you got to this point. Bye. See you later. I'm depressed.